You are listening to Making It, the path to beauty industry greatness with Canvas Me, where we go behind the scenes to explore the human side of beauty professionals, learn how they found balance in their lives, overcame obstacles, and created communities that transcend the ordinary. Hosted by Canvas Me co-founders Jen and Matt Martinelli alongside Canvas Me directors April and Megan, Making It is your guide to navigating the ever-evolving world of beauty. Welcome back to another inspiring episode of the Making It podcast. I'm your co-host, Jen Martinelli, and today we have a truly special guest with us. She's someone who has not only transformed her own life and career, but has also made a profound impact on the beauty industry as a whole. Our guest is Elizabeth Faye, a soul-led entrepreneur who serves the beauty pro industry with heart, science, and strategy. She's a former hairstylist turned industry advocate. She's a trauma-informed business and life coach, a breathwork expert, and a retreat host extraordinaire. Elizabeth has worked with over 30 brands and school networks. She's coached thousands of beauty educators. She's served tens of thousands of artists, and she's even graced the TED Talk stage. Elizabeth's mission is all about helping others live and lead consciously, bringing a holistic approach to business coaching, facilitation, and leadership. She's a mother, wife, community leader, and someone who believes deeply in the divine purpose and mission we all have. So join us today as we talk about the shift from a mindset of constant hustle to one of presence and purpose, how failure is feedback and an opportunity for growth, how to ask the right questions to gain clarity and perspective, how to incorporate mindfulness and breathwork in the salon industry for self-care and emotional well-being, and so much more. Okay, welcome everybody. It's Jen and Matt here on the Making It podcast, and today we are with the amazing Elizabeth Faye. Welcome to the podcast, Elizabeth. It's so great to have you.
Hi, thank you for having me. I'm so excited for our conversation today.
Yes, we've been following you forever. Actually, I think years ago, I saw you at a speaking engagement and you inspired me in so many ways. I know you've had so many roles that you've played in the beauty industry, but healer and coach is just something that draws me so much to you because mentors of mindset and this whole healing journey have changed my life so significantly. And sometimes we're like, okay, what does that have to do with business or anything else? But had it not been for our mindset coaches and really diving into the world of, wellness and mental health and that whole journey, we would not have built Canvas Me. So I'm so excited to talk to you today. I know that you're going to give us so many amazing nuggets of information that people can take away literally today and implement and change their lives. And so, which is just the beginning. And once you get one little taste of what this journey can bring you, you continue to want to dig in deeper. So first question we ask everybody is, do you feel you've made it?
Okay, just pull it out there. I think for years, I didn't give myself the permission to feel like I arrived at anything. And that kept me like hustling and grinding in an unhealthy way where I was chasing. So part of my mindfulness journey is the practice of being present and knowing that I've arrived in every moment. And that's exactly where I'm supposed to be. And I'm right on time for my life. And so maybe like I would even say like made it to what? Like we're just here. We're here to just be here and like live in our purpose. And so I think for me, that perspective shift has been helpful and useful to just be like, how can I be of service in this moment? How can I be in my purpose in this moment? What's the next right thing to do in this moment? So I guess that's my sideway answer.
I love that answer. It's so different than anything we've ever had. And I think I love it too, because I follow a lot of thought leaders and I think they talk about how it's an infinite game, right? Like you're not playing, there's no end in the game. It's an infinite game. And so, you're constantly always in the moment. And I think it's really challenging for me, especially as an entrepreneur, even in my slow moments, I feel like I'm waiting for that next fast, or the next thing, or why hasn't this happened yet? And then when that thing happens, I'm like, damn, I probably should have rested and relaxed and enjoyed that moment of just like calmness to spend time with my kids. And so I'm trying to be more aware of that. Like even just this past week, just like
walking through the wilderness and like taking those moments in time to just be like, no matter where I am in my journey, I'm supposed to be here. And so I think it's just so important to have that level of awareness. So such a great reminder, because as much as I've been digging into mindset, that's one thing that I cannot like consistently do.
Yeah.
Constantly waiting for the next thing, the next 1,000, the next whatever. And I think it's so hard to just live in that space of here and now.
I love that you use the word chase, because that's literally what everybody does.
Yeah.
They're constantly chasing
The next goal.
And it's interesting too, because that's what I've done forever. And as we started the journey around Canvas Me, the less I chased, the more successful I was.
So true.
Like, right. It's right. So like sometimes you do too much and you want so much and so badly that it doesn't happen. And when you kind of just take a step back and just trust that you're in the right place and that you're doing the right thing and believe and be present, it's amazing what can happen. So I know we're going to dive into that, but
I think we have to be careful too, because a lot of people are like, well, you can't just sit around and trust. And I think it's important to say like, yes, trust with action, right? Like,
That's what
Right.
faith is with action. Like that's like part, like, right? That is part of it. Manifestation is part action. Like it's in that movement, but that movement could be being present in whatever you're doing. You know what I mean? Yeah, we can dive into it more though.
So I want to talk about your journey. I know you shared your journey at the last event I saw you at, and it's so beautiful. So let's talk about that journey. What inspired you to become this beautiful business that you're now this amazing life coach in the beauty industry? How did you marry those two things together?
A good question. First, and maybe you want to put this, so we don't have to dive into it, but I have a TED Talk that has kind of my founder story in it. It's also just a beautiful message for, I would say, any human, but especially those of us in the beauty and wellness space. It talks to the power of what we do, whether you're an artist, an owner, a brand, a teacher, a student, like wherever you fit in this industry. So, I got into this industry. It really honestly saved my life. Like it was such a pivotal moment. I went from really troubled child and teen to having a craft, to having an art, to having a path to walk where I could serve other people. And, I think serving other people has been such medicine for me in my life. Also had to learn a lot later to serve myself first. So I could do that. But, I went on this journey. I really started in education-focused salons, which was really amazing for me to have mentors. Obviously have them in school, but to have mentors straight in the first salons I was in. So education was always a huge focus in my career. As an assistant, they were all about education. As a new stylist, I am a licensed hairdresser. I was for 10 years. I was a salon owner for 7 and a beauty school teacher for 4. And like you said, I've sat in a lot of roles. Like nowadays, I'm a thought leader, I'm an author, I'm a speaker, I'm a coach, I host retreat, I do a lot of corporate wellness. And so I sit in kind of a different side of the industry, but I've really sat in all different sides: independent education, school education, student, teacher, like owner, stylist. And, I just kind of took the next right steps as they came along. But education was always like a beacon for me. And I had education, salons, and then as a teacher. And I actually, when I became a single mom, I had to leave the school I was working for and the salon I was working for because I couldn't pay my bills with the pay structure we had. And that it was like, I was actually heartbroken about it. I loved where I was. Like, it wasn't something I wanted to do. It was something I had to do. So it forced me to go independent. And I was like well into my career, not well, but maybe like 5 years in. Like I had a clientele. I had gone through being an assistant. Like I was making good money. So it wasn't like I didn't know how to do what I was doing yet, but I didn't know how to be a business owner. That was something I did know how to do. I knew how to be a hairdresser. So even that first leap into I was just a booth runner. It wasn't like I went and opened a huge salon, but that was a huge transition. Like I had never managed the money, the marketing. Like that's a big transition for anyone who's been through that. Later in your life, you're like, oh, that's easy because you've done it. The same way once you learn the skills, it's easy. But so I did that. And that was when I went into independent education, because I was no longer a teacher at that school and I wasn't a part of that salon. So I started doing workshops, teaching a curriculum. And I've always been a writer. I'm a 4/6 projector if you're into human design. And so writing visionary, the big picture is what my design speaks to. So I even wrote assistant programs for our salons. I always wrote curriculum. That was just something I love to do. I like to do. And So I wrote a layered curriculum with multiple classes and just started small, like little workshops in town or at a school, and maybe a state away, someone would want me. And I ended up doing workshops twice a month for 4 years. And I built a community very organically, very word of mouth. That's what built our Hair Love community. It was like literally on the ground, like relationships. That's why our community is like so close, is like we like know each other for real. And so I did that for years and ended up teaching thousands and thousands of people. And we just went through the journey together. And I ended up launching my first few courses flopped. I like launched courses back when there was no like Kajabi. Like I sold it in a box with a USB at like conferences. Yeah. Like your girl got into independent education in like 2014. So I was like hustling courses on USBs. Like I might as well have had a CD. I thought the USB was like innovative. So anyways, love that we have technology now, like so many amazing things. But it was like, Facebook and freaking, CDs. So that's where I started, and it just built slow. I had a lot of flops, a lot of fails along the way, a lot of things that didn't land. And I just kept, building and trying and sharing my message. And that's how I got more into the business side and the life coaching side. Was people were like, how are you building the business you're building? Because in that, period, I ended up opening a salon, and people were like, how are you running your education company? And I was learning literally by trial and error. That was the time I hired my first life and business coach back in 2014, 15. My business coach is now one of my co-coaches inside of our containers. She was like a bridesmaid at my wedding, but she was like one of my first coaches in 2014. And taught me how to do email marketing and just like basic stuff. And then my life coach was teaching me basic stuff like, universal principles, or like rewiring my relationship with abundance, like nothing deep trauma or limiting beliefs, just kind of like good practices, like, more of what you probably think of when you think of life coaching. And that was like when I began to like start to heal some of my like wounds as being a single mom, but like very just like on the surface, what I would touch, And that's what I did. And I changed a lot of lives. I built a huge empire with Hair Love. I was speaking. We did events. And I literally, I'm going to call myself out on this. Like I girl bossed hard. Like I literally led an army of people to hustle. Like I taught them to grind. I taught them to hustle. I taught them to never quit. I taught them to never slow down. And eventually you'll earn ease. If you keep going, then you'll arrive, right? Then you'll get there. When the truth is you get to the top of the mountain and then you're interested on the next mountain and you don't even enjoy the view. And I made a lot of money. I changed a lot of lives. I accomplished a lot of things, and I was freaking exhausted. I was sick. I was miserable. I had a child who needed his mom, who was never present because she didn't know how to be. I had a nervous system that was totally wrecked, and I kept being like, just that next turn around the corner, then I get it. And girl, when is it enough? Like you've accomplished so much. Like when do you enjoy it? I remember being in Europe on like this really expensive vacation, and all I felt was mom guilt and guilt that I left my salon team and my clients, and I was answering texts. And I was like, what is the point if I can't even enjoy this? Like, what am I doing? Like, I love what I do. I love the people I serve. I'm making great money, but like, I'm kind of miserable. And I kept thinking, it'll get better. It'll get better. Just, it's a busy season. But it wasn't a season, it was a lifestyle. And that's where I'm like, hustle's supposed to be a tool, not a lifestyle. And it's a tool when there's a deadline. I'm going to open the salon in July, and then we're going to take a break. We're going to train this new person and create a system, and then it will literally be a system that's easier to onboard someone. I'm going to get through school, right? Like whatever that is, like there needs to be seasons, but we need to also take care of ourselves within those seasons. And seasons are not a year. Seasons are not 5 years. Seasons are not 10 years. Like those are never ending marathons. And
well, I feel like so many people fall into those traps. Like everybody does. Like so where do you think that comes from?
It's literally how we're taught in business. Every big business guru you speak with, every book you read, like traditional books, like we're starting to see more of this like mindfulness coming through in the last 5 years, really. But like, since COVID, it's like people are like, yo, but I think it's how we're taught. I think America's extra guilty of it. But I think it's a cultural thing. I think it's this you work your life until you're 65 and then you live. Like, what? And I think we're seeing this with the new generation. They're like demanding different. And we're having the generational gap where owners and schools are like, what do we do? And that's where a lot of my work, I'm like, there's totally tools to bridge this, where wellness can be a part of our lifestyle and our company cultures. And we still make a lot of money. We still serve the clients. We still do the thing. Like, we're here to be of service, but like first and foremost to ourselves and our families and our health. So then we can do the thing that we want to do in the world. And so I think it's just cultural. And I think that's why a lot of people are going on a healing journey. I think a lot of people are starting to heal, whether it's health or mindset or their ideals, because it doesn't feel sustainable, because it's not. And it's just, I think, a shift in how we do business. And that's a lot of where my thought leadership lives, is like kind of in this space. And I think it's exciting. And there are definitely tools, and there's ways to still be profitable and be purposeful and have peace and prosperity. And they get to exist together. And I think we've been living in a paradigm that they don't, that I have to blood, sweat, and tears to get this. And I think it's worth asking. I literally think it's worth asking, is like, what is your relationship with work? What is your relationship with productivity? What is your relationship with hustle? Is it in right relations? Is it in integrity with all the values in your life? And does it allow you to show up for your children, for your health, for your marriage, for your family, for your future in a way that's good for the whole? And if it doesn't, is there a different way to approach, even if it's the small subtleties, to approach this that is good for everyone, that's healthy for everyone, that doesn't cost? If it costs you your health or your values or your family, the cost is too high.
Yeah,
it's
crazy because people think that's normal.
We do think it's normal.
Like, they think that's if I'm going through that, then it's a good thing. I'm on the right path. I'm hustling. I'm doing my thing. I'm growing.
Give each other awards for it. Badges.
Yeah.
I'm so busy. Like, what?
So true.
So true.
So, like, you talked about doing 2 classes a month for 4 years. Like, people become impatient, right? Like, 4 years is a long time to be doing the same thing, building that community. What made you stay consistent, especially you're saying it came from this trauma past, right? So I'm not sure what your self-worth was like or your confidence level. You continued to do this even though some of your classes were a flop. How do we keep going in those moments?
Yeah, I think that is where we get to lead ourselves. So leadership is not just it doesn't have to do with your job or your role. You can be a student and be a leader. You can be a teacher and be a leader. You can be an owner and be a leader. You can be a stylist and be a leader. You can be broke and be a leader. You can be rich and be a leader, right? And you see lots of rich, big people in power positions who aren't exercising good leadership. You see people who have no money and no role having great leadership. And so leadership is how, first and foremost, we lead ourselves. Can we lead ourselves in the moments when it's not working out? And I think that's where we get to exercise a lot of that, self connection, believing in what you do. And for me, it really helped me change my relationship with failure. Like, it's literally stop judging failure. It's part of it. It's like a teacher, and it's feedback. Failure is feedback. And I think when we stop making it mean something about us and realizing like we're all students of ourselves, of life, of whatever we're accomplishing, like, you're going to then become a newbie at something else. And that's part of this. And so I think just like lead yourself through failure and ask the questions like, what am I learning here? What is this showing me? How do I really feel about it? Like, it's okay to feel sad about it. It's okay to feel this, but like, why did I do this in the first place? And I can't tell you how many moments I've been like, why am I even doing it? Like, what is the point? Ask the question, like, ask it. And you might like find a moment where you feel lost. Good. Be lost for a second. Because on the other side of lost is found. And then when you find your purpose again, you go, oh, because I love this. I care about what I do. I have a vision for my life. Failure is part of it. And so I think the moment we can celebrate failure, just know like our relationship with failure can be healthier, and like, that's fine. It starts to be like, we're just experimenting, we're playing, we're having fun, and we're growing. And I think like that, not making it mean anything about who I am as a person, is like, that helped me get through so much.
Yeah, I love what you said too about asking the questions. I don't think people do enough of that. I think we talk a lot about speaking.
I think we asked the wrong question.
Even just like speaking into existence, like we're starting to teach our children too, right? Like Jen and I were working on something really big the last couple of weeks, and it was so hard. And we're like, why? Why is this so hard? Because it seems so simple in the beginning. We're like, what are we trying? What's the lesson here? And we kept asking, and that we don't always get the answers, but you get, sometimes I think eventually you get the clarity, right? And just speaking it into existence, I think really helps. And I think it's so important because, I mean, we talk about the mindset piece. I mean, it's such a big part of what we do. It's 90% of what we do. But I think that's really important, is asking the right questions. Yeah.
Yeah. What you said too is like the other side of the darkness is the light. And I think funny because like I had those moments where I'm on that side of darkness and I'm like, how can I get excited about the light that's coming, right? What I'm learning through in this moment is going to be amazing on the other side. And I think it's all about the perspective, which is so true.
Yeah. You know, we have a 10 or 11 and a 13-year-old.
Yeah.
And, you know, we talk about failure all the time. And I'm like, it's really easy to be successful. It's really easy to be, you know, a winner, whatever you characterize that as or define that as. But I want to see how you react when you're losing or you make a mistake, when you fail at something. That's what I want to see. That's what makes you, that's what finds you, right? When it gets really, really hard. And I think we don't talk about that enough. I think people need to know that making mistakes does equal growth. Being uncomfortable equals growth. You know, I think people tend to look for like the easy way. And I did that for so long. I was always looking for the easy way, you know, playing small. You know, Jen talks about that a lot too. So I think it's such a big part of it.
Yeah. And I think, you know, to like add and kind of sidestep to that is because we use the word easy. And we also have the, relationship with hard. I'll just share this as a nugget because this has really helped me in my life. You know, fast forward, I kind of shared some of that. I ended up getting to a spot where I had built all the things and I went through a serious health crisis. So it got really bad in 2018. 2019, I was so sick I couldn't get out of bed. I had arthritis. I had other autoimmune diseases happening. I had migraines. My whole body hurt, really bad PCOS. Like, I was so inflamed. I look completely different if you like look back on my feed. I was having crippling anxiety. Like, it was just so bad. And my husband at the time had very, very, very severe depression. And that was what really pushed my work where it is now. Like, we had to go on like a big girl healing journey, like not just like goal setting. Like we had to do the work. And that was what then put me into enrolling in certifications in school and all the work that I do now that really deepened my practice to trauma-informed work and somatics and a lot of deeper tools, which is what made my whole career defined as like, oh, this is what I do now. But and during that journey, really had to look at my relationship with hard and like, you know, this idea that like things are so hard. And because I was finding myself literally perpetuating it and creating struggle where it wasn't needed. And I really had this belief that life just had to be hard. And I read a quote from, I believe it's Buddha. It says, pain is inevitable, but the struggle is optional. And so it's like, what do we do with the pain is what creates that struggle, that, right? It's like when we like you said, when you're in the darkness and you're just like, woe is me, and you get stuck in it instead of being like, my shadow's a teacher. It's literally here to prepare me, to redirect me, to fortify me, to teach me, to hold whatever's on the other side. And like equal and opposite, like it's gonna, or as painful as it feels, like that's gonna be alchemized to its opposite. And how many times have we gone through something, you're like, wow, if I didn't have my heart broken like that, I couldn't receive the love of my next partner. If I didn't get fired or lose my job or my company, I could have never prepared for the wealth that was coming. If I didn't fail and fall on my face, I could have never stood back up and led others the way I lead myself now. And so I had a statement that is actually the title of my book, but it's called Show Me How Easy It Is. And I did an experiment for 1 year to change my relationship with ease. And what I learned in this experiment is ease is not a destination. It is a state. And it is literally a state in our nervous system. It's a state when you feel, I'm a breath worker. So like I think of this a lot as like, that's that homeostasis, that rest and digest, that stay and play. And even when I can access that in the middle of a painful moment, in the middle, like you said, discomfort, like I've been doing some big things with my business this year that are uncomfortable. And I don't even use the word hard anymore. Like, I'm just like, this is uncomfortable. Like, this is stretching me to my edges. This is showing me like a lot of myself right now. But when I can access a centering through breath work, through different tools, I love breath work. I'm finding my center in that moment, even if it's finding and cultivating safety to be like, I'm safe to be in a situation that feels uncomfortable and to know that it's not always going to feel this uncomfortable. I am so safe to do that right now. Like, I have full permission. You're okay. You're safe. You're centered. You chose this. You have authority in your life. Like, you know what I mean? Like, taking your power back. And that statement, like, ease is not a destination. It is a state, has helped me even just with those simple word changes. And so I think that accessing ease, even when it's pain, versus like, bypassing things and being like, oh, I just want to like have it feel like perfect and bubbly all the time. Like, that's not part of it either. But it's like, we can feel centered and experience ease even when it's uncomfortable or painful.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's a really awesome nugget.
Yeah.
So I love that you kind of talked about and touched on breath work, because it's kind of part of our next question. So we talked about incorporating some of this mindfulness in the salon, and we see Gen Z, they not only crave it, they demand it. And they're on this whole nother wavelength of working smarter, not harder, and really catering to their wounds or their mindset. And so how do we incorporate this in the salon, A? But also, I know you talk a lot about the breath work and the impact of it. So how does that impact the life of beauty pros? Is this something we're incorporating in the salons?
Yes. And it's not going anywhere. Tens of thousands of people in my community getting on board. I work with schools. I'm the founder of something called the Vitality Project. It's literally a wellness program that integrates into your salon and schools. It's the first one in our industry, something like it. So I would say something like that would be a great way to incorporate wellness and culture into your actual company, like ethos of how you do things, how you behave. And really, I'll share some of the things that are in that you could take today to integrate. And so this would work whether you're a school, whether you're a stylist, an esthetician, a massage therapist, like whatever you are in beauty and wellness, whatever role, is first and foremost is self-care. Like, really realizing, like, as a service-based provider, you are a sacred space holder. And that's why sometimes it feels exhausting. Like, your nervous system is impacted by other people's nervous systems. And so when you're not taking care of yourself, just like you think of working out, if you were to work out and you're like, I'm going to get so buff, I'm going to get so toned, right? You wouldn't just do it once and be like, we've arrived. You have to maintain that physique. You have to maintain that health. Your nervous system health is the same way. And your nervous system health impacts how you experience stress. Stress is part of life. But if you experience life where you're constantly in a survival state, fight, flight, freeze, fawn, whether it be triggered by money, other people, you're overwhelmed, you don't know how to manage your stress because you weren't taught, which there's no shame in the game. None of us were taught. Like, it's stuff that should be taught in kindergarten, and it's not. But we're seeing our new age of people teach their kids, which the future is going to be really cool. But anyway, point is, no shame if you don't know any of this. Nobody else does either. You're good. Let's all go. So your toolbox, realizing, okay, I am actually impacted. So the more you can care for your nervous system in little ways daily, you're going to experience more ease in your life. No matter what you're going through, you're going to have more emotional vitality, emotional health, mental health, physical health, spiritual health, because they're all literally connected. Like, I teach this when I teach science lessons. I'm like, when you have a thought, that thought literally sends chemicals down through your nervous system and body. Those chemicals are called emotion. It signals down to the nervous system. That's how you experience life, is through your sensing system, through your nervous system. Do you experience it as there's a scary bear outside the cave and you're always anxious, or the past weighing you down, that heaviness, as depression or some other form? Or are you experiencing life in the present moment, which is why I love breath work, because all of life is now. And when you breathe long enough, your ass is here now. Like, for lack of a better word, like, it just works, is it regulates your body. And so, self-care, I'm talking 5-10 minutes before you start your day. If you got more, great. But like, those basic things of, we know to work out, we know to drink water, we know to move our body, we know to eat healthy, like, obviously do the things but like, to really care for your internal world, your emotional, mental, physical, spiritual health, they're all connected. I found I actually wanted to do those other things when I started doing these things, is just spending those like sacred ritual moments, whatever you want to call them, a self-care moment if you don't like that word, a moment of, mindfulness, Simple as breath work. Like seriously, and we're not going to get into a whole breath work practice right now, but like just in through the nose, nice, long and slow with the exhale. It'll calm you down. Like just longer exhale than you inhale. Turn on some music, be centered, set an intention. That practice is free. It is simple. It will change your life. Do it before you go into your life and at the end. And, you know, starting to cultivate these conversations and tools of connecting with your purpose. I know you guys do a lot of purpose work, value work, that's in Vitality, you know, understanding different practices like breath work and mindfulness, and just starting to open up those dialogues in the salon. And, you know, if you're on Canvas Me, like watch their programs, like actually learn about them, because there's only so much you can learn like by someone telling you to do this. Like it's really going through the practice. And that was part of the reason we created Vitality Project, was I was coming in and like being a guest or speaking, or someone took a course, but they didn't know how to integrate it into their company. And it like feels good for a moment and then it doesn't last. And so we created something that actually integrates into the ethos of a company, where it's not assuming that these things are common sense. We cannot assume that with anyone on our team, our staff, our coworkers, our clients. We have to make them common knowledge. And so we do that by education and by practicing them and making it a standard of our company. And so I think, you know, that's a simple practice, but just starting to realize and having full permission, like when you're well, your business is well. Your human vitality is business vitality. Like they're not separate things. I used to think my head was this thing that traveled on my body, like how nice. And what do I think? What do I know? What do I figure out? Like it's all connected. Like how I feel like impacts my life and my business. And so I think just beginning that remembering with those small things is a good place to start.
Yeah, but I agree with you. I think it's got to start with a shift in salons and a change there too. Like we, do you know Philip Rosado, salon owner? He might be actually.
Yes, in Florida.
He might, and if not, we'll introduce you. Like you guys are like would love to talk to each other. But he basically built out a room in his salon. It's called like the Reset Room. And I was listening, you should like every salon, every school, like whether it's a pod, whether it's a room, but you're starting to see some like corporate companies, some big corporate companies like incorporate like the pods. Like it's every salon and every school.
I agree.
That.
Yeah, that's literally on our list in Vitality, is we're like, whatever you want to call it, like the Zen space, the sacred space, like have positive posters, so part of Vitality, we actually have like, it's like a private app kind of thing. And it has nervous system resets, guided breath work, like things literally built for our industry, whether you're starting a class or teaching for mindful moments. Because I would say this, like build the room, but what do you do in the room? Like that was the problem, is people were building rooms, but they don't know what to do in them. And then they found like people were scrolling. And so it's really, you know, needs to be purposeful of like what the intention of that space is, which I'm sure he already does all this, but like for other people listening, but like this is a space to breathe. This is a space to center. This is a space to regulate.
You would give me 50%, but you should have Vitality pods. Just saying.
Yeah. I mean, it's in our thing, like how to set up the sacred place. People just call it different names, but yeah,
you should sell the pod.
Oh yeah, like a spray tan tent. Yeah, on the pod. So funny.
So it's funny. I actually just saw a quote the other day that said hairstylists are the like today's healers. And it's so true, because for so long it's like people sit in our chairs and they divulge and they tell you everything and they feel like they can be themselves. And so being in a service-based industry, regardless whether you're a stylist, a barber, makeup art, whatever that is, it's so important to know how to navigate conversations where you're making the person sitting in your chair, the person on your table, feel like the best version of themselves. And I think a lot of this, understanding how to regulate our own nervous system and understanding how to be the best version of ourselves, really translates into providing the best service. Because at the end of the day, yes, you go to somebody that gives you a good haircut or a good, does great makeup, but you go to the person that makes you feel really amazing and provides the best tools. So I really think incorporating this into the salons, into the school life, will not only change the lives of the actual individuals, but your customers' lives. And also when you pour into and this is kind of what we try to tell everybody right now, is when you pour into your employees and you provide them a whole new way of living they not only become the best employee, but they become the best human, the best mom, best dad, best brother, sister. They are forever indebted to you, your business, and will do whatever it takes to help you grow, right? And therefore everybody thrives. And so I think that this is such an amazing concept. And now having a tool, right, a curriculum that they can just unlock, you can learn alongside your employees or your students if it's a school, right? So you can learn with them and build the best culture.
Well, you talked about it earlier. People were asking, like, how did you build this following so quickly? And it's because you were able to affect people in a very personal way. And not many companies out there and not many coaches can do that, right? Like, I think in a very authentic, personal way, like when you start to infect and improve their lives, that's how you build really powerful, engaging followings. And that's why you were able to do that. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's like saying the TED Talk, like the reason you'll have to listen to it. I came back to the salon as a child who was troubled was the way I felt. I felt heard, seen, and loved. And the big idea of the TED is like, how do we bring that feeling into our organizations, corporate companies, our homes, our small businesses, to children, to schools, of like, how can I feel more heard, seen, and loved? And I think in order to really effectively do that, we do have to take care of ourselves. We do have to have the language for ourselves and for others. We do have to have, skills and our purpose work to really be of effect. But everyone gets to be a part of the ripple effect. Everyone is. And so are you a part of it in a positive way? And you get to be in this industry. Like, you literally get to change lives for a living, but always the most important life you impact is your own. And
right.
That will be your biggest ripple effect.
Yep.
I love it. So let's talk about limiting beliefs. So I had so many limiting beliefs that I didn't even know I had until I started asking the right questions, right? Why do I feel this way? I always felt like and believed I was annoying, that I wasn't good enough, that I had no voice, right? And therefore, as a result of those thoughts, my actions were that I didn't speak up, right? I had believed I had no voice. I didn't put myself out there. I felt like I wasn't good enough, right? And that became the results of my life until I was able to uncover, hey, these thoughts and these beliefs are creating these actions, which are therefore creating a result. So let's change those. So what are maybe some of your limiting beliefs? How do beauty pros or some strategies they can overcome or even identify what they are?
Yeah, that's a great question and really important for success. Like, honestly, this is my personal experience and opinion. I will pay more at this point in my life, now that I have an understanding of business and my skills, for healing and self-improvement work, because it's 80%. We know 80% is success is psychology, 20% is strategy. That's not my fact, that's a fact. And so it's like, I am my biggest hurdle. I am the container for my success in my life. And so our limiting beliefs, like you said, really filter our reality in our life. They're like the goggles you see life through, right? And so for me, I mean, I will find new sticky limiting beliefs at every level that I level up to. So like when I was in the middle of finishing my book, which isn't published yet, we're like pitching to publishing houses, but the book is done. I literally took a year break because I had this belief come up of like, who do you think you are to talk like this? To be like, who do you think you are to say anything profound? And I had to sit with, like, similar to you, my voice. Like, I'm allowed to be judged, and that doesn't mean anything about who I am. It's okay if I trigger people. My voice is meant to be heard. Like, that was some deep work for me. One of my first limiting beliefs, like I shared, was life is hard. Like, I didn't realize, like, I had created a life of struggle, and I had given myself, literally gotten published. Like, we all love a hero's journey, but like, I believe we go through many hero's journeys in our lives. Like, we're always dying and being reborn in our lives. If you're growing, unless you're staying stagnant and stuck, you are going to fall and stand back up again. And it's like, there's not one hero's journey. There's every piece of your self as you grow. And that's perfect. That's life. It's a spiral. Success is not up, up, and up. Like, so many times I've been like, oh no. And then we go again. And so I think every time I uncover it is beautiful, but life is hard. I had one actually after years of like really embracing ease, where I felt guilty. Like, you're such a selfish brat, Elizabeth, that your life is so beautiful. Like I couldn't let myself fully savor and celebrate it because I felt like I was so selfish, and that was not okay. And so like, I had to really sit with that and embody that and be like, the better it gets, the better it gets. The more I embody my full expression of joy, of love, of all of it, I'm actually an expander for so many other people. And what a beautiful expander to be in the world. But like, I felt selfish. So there's so many layers, like, and then launching Vitality, like, you know, pitching to C-suite executives and all these different things. Like, even in the last 4 months, I feel like I'm so comfortable with it. But like, at first I was just like, oh my goodness, like, am I too spiritual? Am I too woo? Am I too this? Am I too outspoken? Am I too out of the box? Am I too rainbow and colorful? That's why someone hires me. That, like, literally why. If you want black and white, they'll go find black and white. Like, that's fine. That's okay. And there's nothing wrong with that. But like, just embracing like my gifts, my background, what I have, and just being like, these are my gifts. This is how I serve. And it ended up being why people love me. It also can be why others may not. And that's okay too. And so I think, you know, they're always there in different ways. And our job is to acknowledge them and there's a process of alchemy. Alchemy is to take something from a different form. So pain into power. Think of something hard you've gone through, and then later it fortifies you. And so I always think of this story with limiting beliefs. Our limiting beliefs are formed from our childhood, you know, churches, schools, communities, life experiences, traumas, all the things you went through that shape you as a human, right? Heartbreaks, relationship with money, all of that comes from just your lived experience. But they usually start very simply like an idea before they become a belief. And so the analogy I share is maybe little Elizabeth is 7 and she sings and she dances and someone makes fun of her. And so the idea taps on her shoulder like a little vine. It just taps and it says, your voice is not safe. Your body's not safe to be expressed. And you're like, oh, that didn't feel good. So you hide, right? We fight, flees, fawn, one of our things. So I hide, I freeze because that's safer. That was really intelligent at 7. That was really good. It kept me safe. People stopped making fun of me and all of that. When you're 27, that's no longer useful when you have to sell yourself and show up on Instagram and talk to clients and be a mom or a dad or a human or a lover or whatever you are, and speak your truth and stand up for yourself and show yourself, right? Your body's being shown everywhere you go and your voice. And so what happened in that in between from 7 to 27 is you started having little incidents that may have happened that reinforced that was in fact true. So that vine starts to tangle its way around your heart and it becomes more attached and it moves from idea to thought to belief to then where we identify ourselves, usually on a subconscious level, that I am not lovable, or I am, you know, not safe to be heard, or I am, right, not wanted, or whatever that is. And it becomes that. And so what you do when you begin your personal development work, and I highly recommend working with a coach or a therapist or a healer. Like this work is powerful on its own, but you don't really sometimes know where to go. And so like starting with your course or wherever, like begin, but work with a mentor. They start to help you unwind that to let the full expression of your heart expand again to its wholeness, to its original form, so you feel safe as really all that you've always been. Just like life sometimes makes us forget who we really are. And so that is really that process of limiting beliefs. And then we build proof in the direction we want to go. Like my Show Me How Easy It Is experiment. I didn't know what ease was. I'm like, who are you? Are you real? What's your name? I don't know you. So for a year, I was like every day looking for one example. Show me how easy it is. And when a problem came up, okay, show me how easy it is. What is the way? So I started adding new proof to my life, cultivating the same way I had done the other way that life is hard, that in fact, life is happening for me and through me and ease is available. And I could soften my grip on control and open up and surrender and be supported and be seen and all of it. So it's a process. It's not overnight and it's fine. It literally takes 90 days to create a new neural pathway in the mind. So,
but you go back to your point earlier, you started asking the right question.
Yes. I love the show me how easy it is. I'm going to use that as my mantra right now because
I'll send you the book when it's out. I'll
yes. I'm always thinking like things have to be harder than they are because I'm a crazy perfectionist and I'm like, no, it's not that. It's got to be better. It's got to. And so I need to incorporate that mantra into my life, like show how, because I do believe that it opens up new pathways in your mind to like new possibilities, new outside of the box ideas.
It'll unlock a secret menu. I always say this to people. There's a secret menu from the universe that you don't know exists, and it has all these options that your paradigm and current perspective didn't allow you to see. And then opportunities come in that are like ridiculous, that you're like, what? That was an option this whole time? And it was like, well, not for you, but now that you opened up your body to this, like, you're available for this now. And I've had so many ridiculous, amazing, like TED going viral, Vitality Project, Glow. I mean, so many things that like were on the secret menu, and I just like was going like this, you know?
Well,
I need that right now.
Yeah, and I think to your point too, we talked about like speaking it into existence. Your words are so powerful, and so where most people are saying to themselves, "Why does it have to be so hard?" You're saying
your mind will say, because answer the question.
You're saying, "Show me how easy it is." Right? So like people like that small but such significant shift, and even just what you're saying can make a huge difference. Yeah, that's really good.
It's amazing. I also think too, understanding your limiting beliefs, if you identify an outcome that you're unhappy with in your life, whether it's financial, work, whatever, that the outcome that you don't like has a limiting belief tied to it. So that's discover what that is and then change the mindset. But of course, I agree with you. Everyone needs a coach, a mindset coach. It doesn't have to be expensive. I had nothing when we started mindset coach, and I just poured anything I could into having sessions with her, and it literally changed my life.
Yep.
And so
I could be coach, therapist, healer, local group in town. I mean, like a program, course, a free, like start a book, like just start with something to kind of guide you through a process. And then like when you have more money, you can invest more money. But like I did trade for my first coaches for hair. I literally did hair to have coaches. Like that was the best hair I ever did.
Yes. That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome. We have a couple more questions and I feel like we're running out of time. So I'm going to, I want to talk about Hair Love Retreat. So you have these amazing retreats. I see them all over Instagram, and I think I have to make my way to one of them like ASAP for sure. But what makes it a unique experience? What do people take away? Like, what are some awesome stories that you can tell us about that retreat?
Yeah. So my brand Hair Love is our beauty focused community it's called Hair Love. So it's a lot of hairdressers, but it's a beauty focused community. And then I, under my personal brand, do a few healing retreats that are for females or femme identifying humans that are healing retreats. They're not business. They're truly to go through trauma work and healing work. But Hair Love, we don't do that. So Hair Love is our signature retreat. It's what we're the most known for. If you've seen our documentary, Hairstylists Change the World, it's on Amazon Prime. You can see the stories of our community and the industry, and just a really cool, message. But, Hair Love is founded on the idea of creating experiential learning experiences. And that's our whole methodology behind Hair Love. We have a concept called Escape to Learn. And we really believe when we can take someone out of their element and cultivate a learning experience, whether it be, and I've done this in boardrooms and corporate settings, I've taught in lots of corporate spaces, Zoom, whatever, like how can you cultivate an experience where people literally get to escape their day-to-day, come into something different so they can embody something different. And what is really cool about Hair Love is we actually physically do that. We take them off grid to locations that are not by a Starbucks, that are not easy to get to the grocery store. Like we are there, and that's where we are. And you really get to be in that energy, not for just one motivational talk and then you go home. You're there for like days and days and days and days. So you go home different because you didn't just get inspired. You get to sit in that inspiration, you embody it, you work through it. And our whole company at Hair Love is wellness, business, and beauty. So we always hit all three pillars. We have a signature way we do it every single year. We have community opening. The next day's wellness. The next day's business. The last day's beauty. And then we have like special like ceremonies or rituals or things we do. But everything is through the idea of like community and circular leadership. So like we'll sit in circle, we'll talk in circle. We believe in like really getting everyone on the same page. And so like when you set up an experience where corporate has no makeup and they're in yoga pants, influencers and famous hairdressers are, new students, owners, stylists, everyone kind of is like stripped down in this space to just come into their intentions, their life, and bring their gifts. my dad actually co-leads with me. He's a yoga teacher and a medicine man. And so he leads the hikes. He'll teach you how to use things for medicinal purposes. And he brings some of my family's things and he'll teach, different activities. But my husband's a breath worker with me. So it's a lot of like our people, our coaches. And then we'll have amazing famous people like Sam Villa. Like we've had everybody like at Hair Lab. And so you're getting them like eating lunch with them, like literally in the middle of nowhere, like hanging out for days. Like it's just so unique in that way. And people show up different. I see these people on big stages because they're my friends. They teach different at Hair Love. Like everyone's coming together. We don't believe in like the guru mentality. Like we believe in this circular leadership, this community of just like leaving places better than we found them, whether it be nature, whether it be people, whether it be community. People come together. We build things together. Like it's just this space of like taking radical accountability for yourself, stepping into your leadership, looking in the mirror, bringing your desires and working with everyone and just like really like it's like a energetic potluck. Like what you bring is what you get. And we ask them just like a mastermind setting, like bring what you'd want to that. And we'll all like exchange our gifts and our knowledge. I've never seen anyone do education the way we do it. I feel like we hybrid a lot of different concepts together in a unique way. And you can't come near it without having your life changed. It's just how it works. It's set up that way.
It's amazing.
I have been so talking about going on a retreat, and I feel like every book you read from anybody that's done incredible things, they all talk about the reset, the removing yourself, the close out to everything. You end up thinking of new things, you get reinvigorated, the level of gratitude, and it's just all one big amazing result. And then the level of community, right? Like sometimes we're stuck building our businesses or just so focused on goals that we block out that community, right? Like we don't have time for friends or family, or sometimes we can't find that community. Like I struggled a lot building Canvas Me, where I was in this space where you shed the old friends, but you haven't found your new friends because you're on just a different path and you're in this in-between space of like, who are my people? I can't find that. And I feel like this is where you find those people that are on that same wavelength or on that same trajectory. So I think it is so necessary for everybody to at least get to one every so often, because I really
agree.
The power of
all the clarity, all the things they want, like retreats, I come and it's like a quantum leap. I'm like, oh, I just needed space. Like, yeah, universe, whatever you believe in is like, will you just chill so we can drop it all in? And you're like, no, I'm so busy. And then the second you like stop, it's like it all comes through and you're like, well, that's good to know. I should just slow down every once in a while.
So true. I actually have been feeling that lately, and I've been going through these like long walks. I put like weights on my ankles, and there's like this little reservation by our house. I've been going on these long, and there's like all massive trees. It's very Mother Nature. And we're going on these crazy long walks, and I feel like by the time I'm done, I can get everything done so much faster, whether it's mental or whatever happens on that walk. I mean, there was butterflies. Oh my gosh, the world was so beautiful. And you get back to that place of work so differently than when I used to just try to ram the work in and just stare at my screen. And I just got to get this done before this time. It's so true. Okay. So I think we're right around time. We've taken a ton of your time. We're super grateful. I think there's been so many amazing nuggets. What can we end with? What is like your, biggest tip? Simple tip for somebody to take away from this before we go?
I'll give two small ones and I'll let them pick which they'd like to run with. And if you feel like you want to do both, do it. The first one is to just, I dare you for 60 days to breathe for 5 to 10 minutes in the morning. Just dare you. Just try it and see what happens in your life. You don't need to know anything about breath work. Like just on purpose breathe to some sort of music that sets the vibe for your day and set an intention. That's my first tip. The next one is for the person that resonated with this message. I invite you into the ease experiment, which is the show me how easy it is, and to write it down. I have it on a phone screen. You can have it on your mirror. You can all the above, to have places where you see that like question and that reminder. And just throughout your day when things come up, just like literally ask the question like, okay, show me how easy it is. Like literally just start getting curious. And if you want to do what I did it for 1 year because I was like, you know what? I can always go back to the way things were. Like I know how to do that. kind of not working for me at all, but I can go back to that and I know I'll get X results. Like, why not just try it? So that's my invitation to the ease experiment and to just see what comes up.
Amazing.
Might be your whole life.
And somebody can win 12 months
Yes.
of your mindset course on
Yes.
Canvas Me.
Yes.
So-
We have a whole program that has limiting belief work, trauma healing, how to integrate this actually into your business, the way you speak. So you'll have this whole done for you, like, course that you can go through at your own pace. And for your people, just so you know, I know we said 12 months, we're going to give them lifetime access to it because this is a special Canvas Me thing. So you will get all the pre-recorded magic and we're just going to let you have it. And it's over a $5,000 value.
I mean, that is an incredible gift and an amazing way to kickstart this journey of life, abundance. I mean, all of it. So that is amazing. We're super grateful for that. So if you have missed it, I mean, we had a ton of applicants right now. Just go on to Canvas Me. You can look up mentorship and apply for the 12-month free virtual access.
Well, we'll link it.
So Elizabeth,
We'll link it in the podcast.
class, yes. We'll link it in the show notes as well. Where can we find you, Elizabeth, on social channels?
If you want to be on the hair beauty industry side of things, Hair Love University. If you're interested in Join the Vitality Project, you can go to jointhevitalityproject.com if you're an owner or school. And I think, that's a good place to start. If you want to get into more like woo-woo, other stuff I do, you can follow me, Hey Elizabeth Faye. But if you want to stay on the other side, no worries either. You can get either side that fits your vibe.
Yes, I'm down with the woo-woo, so I'll be there following you. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time. We're so grateful. This has been an awesome session, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of Making It, the path to beauty industry greatness with Canvas Me. Our mission is to give you a voice, help you find your place of belonging, and empower you to thrive in this beautiful industry. We hope you found inspiration and valuable insights that will fuel your own journey in your career. Head over to canvasme.com and unlock the next chapter of your beauty journey. Create your portfolio, showcase your unique talents, and connect with a community that understands and celebrates your story. Subscribe to Making It for more inspiring stories, and let's continue making it together.